Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I have had numerous requests to talk about Sanda on this channel, to give my opinion about what I think of this martial art, how good are their athletes. So today what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you a number of things these guys are exceptional at, and then we're gonna dive into a couple weaknesses they have, in my opinion, and we're gonna take clips from my fights against these Chinese athletes who trained in Sanda on their way up, and we're gonna just get a good opinion on what I think about Sanda and how worried you should be about facing this fight style. So for those of you who aren't aware of Sanda yet, Sanchu, I believe Sanda is the more evolved version of Sanchu. It's just an older fight sport style, I guess, but something like that. I don't keep up to date too much with it, but basically it's coming out of China. All the athletes who end up in UFC or Glory or One or wherever, if they're from China, most likely they started in Sanda. You'll often see these guys competing in tournaments. They'll have the headgear, big chest protectors, and the big difference about Sanda compared to other fight styles is these guys actually allow takedowns, and not just Muay Thai takedowns or sort of karate sweeps. They can like full on get in there and slam people down. If they catch a kick, they don't have to just do a little trip. They can actually like throw the person upside down. And when I was in China with Team Canada and we were doing a face-off, everybody else on Team Canada lost because of all the strengths that I'm gonna list about Sanda today. And keep in mind, Sanda has given some of the highest level fighters in the world. I remember watching Buakaw, Sanchai, Andy Sauer. These guys all struggled with this fight style. Now let's get right into what makes them so good. Number one, these guys are so tough. They are durable. Why is this? Well, when you look at the number of people in China, we're talking like 1.5 billion, and you have a big martial arts community, they get to pick and choose from the very best. I don't think it's just like anybody goes and does Sanda and represents China. You gotta work your way up there. So in general, in my experience, watching these guys face off against the best fighters in the world, Buakaw, Sanchai, Andy Sauer, facing them myself, I know these are tough dudes. And if you're fighting any Sanda fighter, be prepared for a long, tough fight. They do not go down easy. They come to fight, and they are just tough, durable people. The next thing which I've noted, and pretty much everybody should, is these guys are very good at their side kicks. They'll come off the lead leg, they'll be moving around, and they'll launch themselves very far across the room and get a whole bunch of power. And when I fight karate fighters, generally I don't find the side kick that difficult to deal with. But the Sanda fighters have so much power when they utilize the side kick, and they can transition from this stance to here very quickly and then fire that kick off. It's very hard to see it coming. It's a very fast transition, and this is something which you need to be ultra aware of. If you're fighting a Sanda athlete, you have to be ready for that side kick to be blasted in, body level, chest level, up to the face. They will throw it, and it has real power. Now, as we already mentioned, these Sanda fighters are allowed to toss each other to the ground. And because of that, they have good takedowns and good throws. You end up at this tight distance where you think you're gonna box, and then all of a sudden they're launching themselves in. You throw a really long range kick and they catch it. You should be prepared to get tossed across the ring. What we have to be very aware of when we're fighting these athletes is the ability for them to stand their ground and stay super balanced. Once they get a little closer, there's a weakness. We'll talk about that at the end of the episode, but throws and takedowns, very experienced, very good at them, and something you need to keep your eyes out for. The next thing which I noted when I see these guys throwing down is they hit really hard. They don't punch like a boxer who's scoring for points. They load up and they really try to bomb their shots. You will see them miss and they'll go right through. They're trying to hit so hard. You have to be prepared for real power shots. They're not gonna go boop, 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 and then come into a power shot. It's like everything they throw is 100% power. And I have seen this time and time again. Doesn't matter if I'm fighting in Hero Legends, if you see a Chinese fighter in Glory, if you go to K1 and you watch in particular the fight against Sanchai. Sanchai fights a Sanda fighter, and this guy just throws down. He makes it a barn fight, barn brawl, and he's just throwing with everything he has. And for many athletes, it's a surprise and it's a little bit intimidating. And that sounds weird to say when you're thinking about myself, Buakaw, Sanchai, when the guys are kind of like, whoa, what the heck is this guy doing? He's really going for it right from the get-go with those power shots. But once you recognize that, you can train for it, and you know in that first round, they're coming to kill you. The next thing which they're very good at is their spinning techniques. Their spinning techniques are on point. I have fought in China 4 times. One guy in particular was more of a Muay Thai stylist. He was kind of like this. The rest of them were very bouncy, very mobile, and they could throw those spinning kicks like that. They came out of nowhere. They were so powerful, and you've got to be ready for them. You've got to drill, how am I going to deal with these? Because with the side kick coming on its own, and then all of a sudden spinning back fist, spinning hook kicks, spinning side kicks, it becomes very, very dangerous. And these guys don't train like a traditional Muay Thai fighter or a kickboxer. They have that ability to spin and to really utilize those dangerous techniques, which can just generate so much power. The last thing which I want to note is these guys come to fight. We already talked about them coming out hard in the first round, but I really want to stamp an extra point on that and also say their conditioning is very good. As we already mentioned, they have many athletes that they can choose from. And remember, it's China. They can get rid of these guys. I've been over there and seen what they tell these athletes to do, and the athletes just do it. There's no questions. So if you have athletes who are lazy, they're probably going to be gone very fast. These guys come out hard, they're looking for an early KO, they're throwing down, and they have cardio to last all 3 rounds or 5 rounds if it's a championship fight. But in spite of that, as always, there are weaknesses in fight styles. Every fight style has a weakness if you stick too much to it. When you get fighters who can take a piece of karate and a piece of Muay Thai and they can kind of mix it all together, you can all of a sudden create a very dangerous fighter. Sanda is kind of like that. I feel like they do take pieces and create a very nice style, but there are weaknesses. Let's touch on those right now. First off, in my experience watching Muay Thai fighters like Buakaw and being in the ring against these guys and being able to throw them, I can tell you they're fairly weak in the clinch. They're very good at rushing in, closing the distance and getting throws. They're very good at catching kicks and dumping, but once they end up in that tight clinch range, they seem to have a little bit of a struggle. I'm going to assume that elbows and the clinch work are not a big part of Sanda, and that is why they struggle so much. So if you can make it a fight on the inside where you don't mind blocking some of those massive punches and you can get some throws, some trips, some sweeps off, you might surprise yourself and go, whoa, this was easier to throw these guys than your average Muay Thai fighter. The next thing which I think works really well against them is fast, explosive combos with in and out movement. I step in, I give them a quick combo and I exit. Why does that work? Because they are looking to throw punches so hard and they don't really get a smooth sort of flow between punches. It's kind of more rip, rip. So if you can step in and bang, 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 hit them really fast before they have a chance to throw their big counter and exit, they seem to struggle with that as well. Andy Sauer did a very nice job once he got past that first round, which he lost when he fought a Sanda fighter, really getting those fast combos off and then catching that angle. That's something else which you should note with the Sanda fighters. You can expect to give up that first round. I don't know if I had one fight where I give up the first round for sure, not voluntarily, but this guy came out so hard and I just went, if I put everything into this first round, I won't have enough for the next ones. Andy Sauer and Buakaw, I remember a number of times seeing them against Chinese athletes in the past going, whoa, these Chinese dudes won the first round. Wow, that's surprising. Then the more experienced veteran fighters would come back and win, but first round, if you battle it out, no, it's going to be a hard one to win. And the final thing which I've noted in these athletes is they have a fairly long stance. That comes from their takedowns, which they do. So that low kick, if you can throw it, it's a lot easier to land. than on an athlete who's like this, or a Muay Thai fighter who bounces a lot. They're a little lower and it's easier to catch them. So that, in my opinion, is a weakness as well. You can go for that fast boxing and then chop down that leg, and it does seem to work. How would I rate Sanda, let's say from 1 to 10? 1 being absolute garbage, 10 being, oh my gosh, this fight sport is amazing. Very often in the striking world, we think of Muay Thai as the most dangerous. And while it is a very, very good striking sport, it does lack some things, like that boxing, putting some emphasis on that. I feel like Sanda is right up there with Muay Thai. It is a very, very dangerous fight sport. I would not go and say, oh, Sanda is a waste of time. You will not find as many Sanda dojos out here as you would over in China, obviously. But if you ever have the chance to work with a Sanda athlete, I would say take it. These guys are very good. Their striking style is very encompassing. Yes, they're missing a few little avenues like the clench, but if you were to take Muay Thai and Sanda, combine them together, you have a mean fight style, a mean athlete, which can build and have fantastic skills. So let's call it there. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. As always, train hard. I will see you back here soon for another video.